I've been told a lot by the people here that, and I'm not sure really clear in my mind why. One thing I do know is they tell me not to talk about this. A lot of people, some people tell me to talk about it, but one thing I want to make clear is I do not want to make any money from telling this story because of the painful circumstances that surround it. It's not one I want to make money off of. But I think some people should know about the whole thing. So Mike moved in, one thing that was very peculiar to him was the thickness of his beard. He had the thickest beard of anyone I'd ever seen in my life. And he looked like someone else from California. Just had a very striking physical resemblance to someone from the past, but 1969. And so the bow and arrow was his favorite hunting weapon. He said you can hunt something like, I don't know if this is true, but if you're a certain amount of yards away from a residential area, according to him, you could hunt with it. He started visiting me, sometimes asking me for money, and sometimes, well, yeah, he had tranquilizers. I mean, it's not funny, but but the first and second time I met him, he comes in the door and he showed me a picture of his first Vietnam kill, he said. And he said something to me so disgusting after he showed it to me. It was comparable to the disgust I felt when that lady I was washing dishes with had said what she said. I mean, this was even worse, what he said to me. He used to talk, he talked about being in the Marines, and he always wore khakis, and sometimes a cowboy hat. And now when that girl across the way moved out, she had to move out. A guy named Frank, I won't say his name, but another guy moved in, older than Mike, and he had diabetes really bad, and he was in a wheelchair. His sister was visiting him all the time, and his niece was too, with a lot of her friends. And Mike was coming over my house. One time I had a collection of movies. There's a guy that still makes silent movies these days. His name is Richard Brackage, and I made the mistake. There was one film in the collection that had a morgue in it, and I mentioned that to Mike, and I seen it once, and I didn't want to see it again. And he kept asking me if he could watch it. I mean, like, he was obsessed with seeing this film. And so I showed it to him one time, and I said, how long are we going to watch this for? But that was his personality. He also had a twitch on the right side of his face and a snort that went along with it. And he talked about when he was in the military, the commanding officers would put cigarettes real close to their eyes. And he asked me once if I wanted to play Russian roulette. And I would never do that my whole life. Of course, halfway decent, why would you want to play Russian roulette? But that reminded me of some other situation. Now, he was telling me that he was in the Marines, and at the same time, someone else recognized him as Peter Particular. Peter Particular was in a punk rock band in San Francisco, and he came out here. So I don't know what was real, what wasn't. I don't know. I'm still not sure if it was him, but he did. When I saw Peter Particular's picture on the internet, and that section of the internet about that horrifying case that happened in Warren, Massachusetts. His picture was in there as part of it. Years later, I saw that picture. That looked an awful lot like him. And my mother and my brother knew him to a certain extent too. So he had dogs were disappearing all over the place too. Another thing that was happening, I think 3 dogs in quick succession disappeared. And the lady who used to bake me bread cakes mentioned that to me. I hadn't noticed it before she mentioned it to me. And I said to him one night, why are all these dogs disappearing? I made a mistake of mentioning who had said it to me. And his response was, I'm going to make her cry. Tomorrow I will make her cry. And he looked like the kind of person who had the psychological disposition of being able to do things like that. I said, you're not going to make her cry. I said that to him, and I'm like, you're not going to do that. And he wound up that he didn't try to do it. Now, then there was, people would move in and out of the Mountain View apartments, and the guy who was wheelchair bound, made friends with Mike. I think they took me as just kind of a joke. It's the way they took me as a vehicle for humor. A very lighter shade of humor than their kind of humor, I guess. So now, the next part of the story, I don't know how much of it I should tell, but it involves someone else who was in a witness, who was needed help. I think she needed help from them. And Jehovah's Witnesses started visiting me, and she was a Jehovah's Witness. And one time, she was staying with me sometimes, and I definitely wouldn't have no romantic situation with her because of what she said to me that happened to her. One thing I do know is that it was impossible to sleep after a while because she had to take a bath every night around 2 or 3 o'clock. And I would wake up with the sound of running water. A lot of things about the story. I don't know what I should say, but after something that the guy in the wheelchair told me, she stayed with me, I guess, all the time at that point. He had said something pretty bad about when she was staying with him. And these were things that I had never heard human beings talk like this before. I mean, talking about what they've done to other people and stuff like that, out in the open. I just never experienced that in my life. I never knew nobody who said these kinds of things. So she stayed with me, and I took her to the mall once and got her address, I remember. And at the same time, I was going to psychiatrists or physical doctors in the area to get the medications, blood pressure pills, and also psychiatric pills. I'm almost at 10 minutes now, so I'll stop this here. Now I've got to make a few phone calls. I'll be back later. But if they do take this away from me, it's something to think about, something to wonder about. Why are they taking it away from me? I don't know. I'm not saying they will, but